Well, hello there. This is Aizen, and now we're going over Balanced Druid. Yes, we're going over Balanced Druid. Balanced Druid is a pretty popular spec. We just went through Subtlety Rogue, which was definitely one of the weakest specs in BFA and least played specs in BFA, so let's go over for something more popular now. It's going to continue to be popular, it's going to be just fine in Mythic Plus and just fine in raids, but let's go over what changed before we go over a little bit more in depth in the actual spec. Because what changed, yes, they got even more things from Mythic Plus, as if it wasn't enough. They have Stampeding Roar now, they have Cyclone, they have Heart of the Wild, they have even Typhoon baseline, you know, a bunch of shit for free to make them even more S tier in Mythic Plus. What they do get, though, what we care about here is going to be DPS related stuff. So the main changes for damage dealing are going to be around your Eclipse and your Mastery. Your Eclipse now works like this. This is something you have in the pre-patch already, so it's not going to be too foreign to you already. 2 Starfires are going to put you into Solar Eclipse for Wrath Empowerment for 15 seconds, and then 2 Wraths are going to put you into Lunar Eclipse for Starfire Empowerment for 15 seconds. These 2 buffs are going to be alternating each other, which means as soon as you cast 2 Starfires and you enter Solar Eclipse, after those 15 seconds, you have to cast 2 more Wraths to enter Lunar Eclipse. After you are done spamming your Starfires for 15 seconds, you have to cast 2 more Starfires to enter Solar Eclipse to empower your Wrath, rinse and repeat. The buffs of Solar and Lunar Eclipse are going to be 15% cast time reduction on your Wrath or Starfire, and your Wrath is going to gain 20% damage, whereas your Starfire is going to gain 20% crit. The extra change to this Eclipse system is that Star Surge now is also going to empower the damage bonus of any active Eclipse by 6% per cast. So if you are in Solar Eclipse and you're casting Star Surges, your Solar Eclipse is going to increase your Wrath damage by 20, 26, 32, 38, 44, 50%. If you are in Lunar Eclipse, your crit chance of Starfire is going to go to 20, 26, 32, 38, 44, 50, etc, etc. One of the other main changes is going to be to your Mastery. Your Mastery now is going to increase your Nature damage inside Solar Eclipse and your Arcane damage inside Lunar Eclipse. Whereas Celestial Alignment, your main and only cooldown, is now going to give you 10% haste, while also putting you into both Eclipses at the same time. Now, a less attentive eye might be asking me, but Aizen, why do you want to be in both Eclipses at the same time? If I'm casting Wrath in Solar Eclipse, why do I care if I also have Lunar Eclipse? Lunar Eclipse is not giving my Wrath anything, and if I'm casting Starfire because I have Lunar Eclipse, my Solar Eclipse isn't giving me anything. Why do I want to have both? Just to alternate the spells? It makes no sense. Well, that's true, and that is also Blizzard's fault, because Blizzard doesn't tell you anything when you read Starfall and Star Surge. Starfall and Star Surge are telling you that they do astral damage. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do. What is astral damage? Astral damage is the combination of arcane and nature damage, which means your Mastery is going to work twice on Star Surge and Starfall. If you are in Solar Eclipse and your nature damage is increased by 20%, then your Star Surge is going to be doing 20% more damage. If you are in Lunar Eclipse and your Arcane damage is going to increase by 20%, then your Star Surge damage is going to be increased by 20%. The real change is when you are inside Celestial Alignment, because now in Celestial Alignment you're getting both the 20% damage Arcane from the Lunar Eclipse and the 20% damage from Nature, from Solar, which is going to work at the same time for Star Surge and Starfall because they do astral damage, which is going to count as both damage types. That's the big change. This is going to shift more power into your cooldown. It's going to make your spenders within the cooldown stronger, which is good, which is needed. Balanced Druid didn't have too strong of a burst window before. This is still not an excellent burst. You can already check in the pre-patch that Balanced Druid doesn't really have top burst anyways, but this is going to make it better for scaling, better for late game stats, scaling when it comes to your Mastery, increasing the damage of your Star Surge and partially your Starfall, but what you really care is the Star Surge damage. The biggest change when it comes to the rotation, now that you can go over a little bit more in depth, because your Star Surge is now going to empower your builders within the Eclipse, what you want to do now is to dump your Star Surges at the start of Eclipse. It makes sense, right? You have 100 astral power, you enter Eclipse, you use 3 Star Surges, and you have immediately given your Wrath 18% more damage or your Starfire 18% more crit. So why would you want to cast Star Surge at the end of your Eclipse? This way your Starfire won't be able to benefit from the crit. So you want to use Star Surge immediately. This is going to create a very smooth back and forth rotation where what you want to do is reach close to 100 Astral Power, cast your 2 Wraths to enter Lunar, immediately cast 3 Star Surges to empower your Starfire, and then spam Starfire until you're getting close to 100 Astral Power. Maybe use 1 or 2 Star Surges extra, a 4th and 5th Star Surge within the start of your Eclipse, just so you can get to the end of the Eclipse with 80 or 90 Astral Power. Once you are there, you can now cast 2 extra Starfires to enter your Wrath. Because you have gotten to 100 Astral Power again, you can now cast 3 Star Surges immediately to empower your Wrath damage by 18%, and now you can spam Wrath. Again, you can use 1 or 2 extra Star Surges as soon as you get close to 100 Astral Power. Once the Solar Eclipse is over, you can cast 2 more Wraths to enter Starfire. Now you are capped in Astral Power again, so you can cast 3 Star Surges again, and the cycle repeats. You always want to try to aim to get close to 100% uptime on your Eclipses. Ideally, somewhere around 90%, 95% is going to be fine. The windows when you are not in Eclipse want to be filled by reapplying your DOTs. Reapplying your Sunfire, reapplying your Moonfire, reapplying your Stellar Flare, while you're also passively gain Astral Power, so that you can enter your Eclipse again without having to reapply DOTs inside Eclipse, which is something you don't want to do. Just like, since we just went over Subtlety Rogue, you don't want to reapply Slice and Dice and Rapture inside your Shadow Dance window, Eclipse is going to be similar. Eclipse is just for using Star Surges and then the relevant empowered ability, nothing else. So you want to make sure every other maintenance debuff on the targets are going to be applied before you enter the Eclipse. Or right at the end, right as you're about to end your Eclipse, you can just reapply the DOTs to enter the next Eclipse immediately. Talking about this new way to play, this new front load your Star Surges at the start of the Eclipse, these are going to be empowered by your talents as well, that are going to push you into this direction. Now, sore point for Balanced Druid. Talents are pretty bad. Talents are pretty static, they are not very diverse. Balanced Druid is one of the only 3 specs for DPS in the game that has 3 full talent rows dedicated to utility and not damage. The level 25 row is mobility and a self-heal. The level 30 row is your affinities, so utility, healing, defensives. And your level 35 row is CC and utility. So you only have 4 rows for damage, which is very, very poor. Your first row is going to be divided pretty much by sustained overall damage with Nature's Balance, giving you passive background Astral Power generation, which is pretty boring. And then Force of Nature, which is going to be a pretty good Mythic Plus talent because of essentially being a tank cooldown. Your level 40 row is going to be again split between Star-Lord and Soul of the Forest. Incarnation is just not strong enough. Even with buffing your main talent, it's just going to give you a 10-second longer duration on Celestial Alignment and then giving you 10% crit chance. 10% crit chance is very poor because Star-Lord can give you 12% haste. Incarnation is going to give you 10% crit chance, 30 seconds every 3 minutes, whereas Star-Lord can give you 12% haste for almost 70 to 80% of the encounter. So the 10-second longer Celestial Alignment doesn't cover for this. Soul of the Forest is going to be your 2-go talent for AoE because of the extra Starfire damage and the faster way you can ramp up your Wrath to spend your Astral Power, but the real big changer here is Star-Lord. If you read what it does, and you just learned how you're supposed to spend your Star Surges at the start of your Eclipse, this is going to make much more sense. Because now, when you enter Eclipse, you are not only using 3 Star Surges to empower your Eclipse spell, you are also using 3 Star Surges to give yourself 12% haste. And guess what? What would you know? The duration of Star-Lord is just as long as the duration of Eclipse. So, you enter Eclipse at full Astral Power, Star Surge, Star Surge, Star Surge, damage of Wrath increased by 18%, plus 12% haste, spam your Wrath, a couple of Star Surges here and there, you end your Eclipse at close to full Astral Power, so you can cast 2 more Wraths, enter Lunar Eclipse, Star Surge, Star Surge, Star Surge, 18% more crit chance on your Starfire and 12% haste from Star-Lord. That's why Star-Lord is going to be so strong, because it's literally synergizing with how you want to play the rotation. The last two talent rolls are also pretty disappointing. Twin Moons, as I mentioned, you have more power now within your CDs and you have more power on your builders, because Star Surge is going to empower your builders and Star-Lord is going to empower your builders. Which means Twin Moons and extra damage on your Moonfire is very, very poor right now. Stellar Flare is going to be fine, and it's going to be very good for 2 to 3 target cleave fights. And Stellar Drift is your Mythic Plus MVP, constantly cast while moving, and extra Starfall damage. Extra Starfall damage is particularly strong because, remember, you cannot stack Starfalls on top of each other. You're not Destruction Warlock spamming Rain of Fires on top of each other. You're not Elemental Shaman spamming Earthquakes on top of each other. You can only have one Starfall active. So increasing the damage of your Starfall when you can only have one is very, very strong, because Starfall is very, very powerful as an ability in terms of base damage, because of course you can't have more than that, you can only have one. The last row is also very disappointing. Just like the first row, the baseline, passive, background talent is the one that does the most damage and the one that is the most effective. Your active abilities, the abilities that could interact with your rotation, are undertuned right now. Fury of Elune and New Moon, their problem is that your Star-Lord and your Star Surges are focusing so much around your builders and empowering abilities within your Eclipses that Fury of Elune and New Moon are basically gaining no benefits. Eclipses are going to reduce the cast time and increase the damage and crit chance of your abilities, but not Fury of Elune and not New Moon. Your Star Surge is going to empower your Wrath and Starfire, but not Fury of Elune and not New Moon. So they lack any sort of synergy. The only synergy they have is that they are astral damage, both of them, meaning they will work with your mastery, but that's about it. There is no other synergy regarding Fury of Elune and New Moon. So they are pretty disappointing to use. Even more disappointingly, Solstice is going to be the best one. Solstice is the replacement for Shooting Stars, because Shooting Stars is now baseline. Shooting Stars giving you 3 astral power whenever it procs from your Moonfire and Sunfire damage is very good, and now Solstice is going to pretty much guarantee a bunch of procs from Shooting Stars as soon as you enter Eclipse. Again, synergy with the first part of Eclipse, with the entrance within Eclipse, because this talent is going to give you extra astral power at the start, which is going to allow you to get more Star Surges off at the start. Not just the first 3, which you can get off by being at full astral power, but also a 4th one very early after. With this talent and Shooting Stars, you can pretty much cap your astral power, enter Eclipse, and then go Star Surge, Star Surge, Star Surge, Wrath, Star Surge, almost every time, which just makes it better than the other 2. So unfortunately, despite what Eon used to say multiple times, that a passive talent should never overperform an active talent, because the active talent needs to be played, it needs to have a part in your rotation, it needs to have you make a decision. So playing it better should yield better results than a simple, boring, passive talent. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Solstice is just better. Another good point of balance when you want to play around your rotation is going to be with your legendaries, because there can be some differences. The first one is Time War Dreambinder. Time War Dreambinder is going to make sure that you can cast 4 Star Surges at the start without even needing Solstice. In fact, with this and Solstice, you can damn near cast 5 Star Surges at the start. This is because the cost of your Star Surge is going to be discounted, on top of the extra damage, which is just nice, but the discount is the king here. Your first Star Surge is going to cost 30, your second is going to cost 27, and then 24, 24, 24. Casting 4 of them in a row is going to cost you 105 astral power, and your max is 100, so you only need 5 extra. It's very easy to get 5 extra. You're playing with Nature's Balance, so you're already getting astral power automatically in the background. Your Sunfire is going to give you 2 astral power when it ticks. Your Moonfire is going to give you 2 astral power when it ticks. And now, of course, you have Shooting Stars with Solstice, giving you more astral power in the background. So this is going to make it very easy for you to cast 4 Star Surges, and then with an extra cast of your Builder, a 5th Star Surge very early on. That's going to be 30% more damage on your Wrath and 30% more crit on your Starfire inside your Eclipse. Very, very powerful. If you don't want a stronger burst, you can have more burst windows with Primordial Iconic Pulsar, a revisitation of an Azerite trait that is currently being used by Balanced Druid. Every 300 astral power is going to get you 9 seconds of Celestial Alignment. Right now, this is roughly a minute cooldown, basically. You can get an extra Celestial Alignment for 9 seconds every minute. This is just going to give you more burst instead of stronger burst. Going back to the stronger burst, you can just go for Balance of All Things. It's going to work differently than Time Worn Dreambinder, but have the same effect, making your burst stronger. Because entering Eclipse, again, your front-loaded Eclipse damage synergy is here as well. Entering Eclipse increases your critical chance with Arcane or Nature spells by 50%, decreasing by 10% every second. Which means that in your first 3 GCDs of Eclipse, which is where you want to Star Surge, Star Surge, Star Surge, your Star Surge is going to have a 50, 40 and 30% increased crit chance. Very, very good, because Star Surge is going to be your MVP in terms of damage done. It hits like a truck. It double dips on your mastery, so it has all the things working for it, and this is a good legendary to synergize with it. It's going to be particularly strong whenever you can use 2 legendaries at the same time, and you can bundle it together with Time Worn Dreambinder or even Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. So whenever you enter Eclipse, you get those free crit boost on your Star Surges. And then you have the last legendary, which is going to be better for Mythic Plus and for all around use whenever there is a fight with more than 3 targets, let's say. Star Surge giving you free Starfalls and Starfalls giving you free Star Surges, of course, is very, very useful when you are expected to use them both in the same encounter. I do enjoy the current state of the spec, the way it's supposed to be working and the way the rotation flows. You know, this setup, trying to get to max astral power, to then dump your Star Surges and then feel good that you did it properly, you properly buffed your Wrath, you're doing good damage, and then sort of escorting your astral power close to 100 to make ready for the next Eclipse phase. So you're like, okay, I have 60 astral power, but I have 6 seconds left on Eclipse. Can I sneak in an extra Star Surge and then keep casting my Wrath to get to full astral power? Or should I just hold it and maybe overcap a little bit? These little decisions you can make. It does keep you engaged in the rotation. You have enough variety in the legendaries to keep you engaged as well. The only negative being, of course, the talent variety, which is pretty decadent right now. It hasn't received many changes or many positive ones, that is. But overall, it's a pretty nice spec. It has a very good damage profile for raid encounters, the burst damage, the burst single target damage, as well as some funnel and spread AoE, spread dot cleave they can do. It's going to be just fine as a spec. Very good in Mythic Plus, still very good in raids. So if you were interested before in Balanced Druid, you should still try it out. It's nice. To me, it's nicer than it is in BFA, than it was in BFA. So go ahead and give it a try. And after being done with Balanced Druid, we are going to go back to another melee DPS spec. I am accepting bribes to go over some of the specs, just don't mention survival or I'll ban you from the channel. Beyond that, every other spec is fair game. So let me guys know what you think. I am going to take my leave, I'm done with this. Lessons over, class is dismissed, see you guys soon. And in the meantime, I am going to go off to play with my nephews.